Hey, we're walking into the next step. Oops, by the way, this is Steve, Dichroic Glass Man. Ta-da! Like you'd really want to know. Anyway, the next step that we're walking into is I'll use an X-Acto knife like this because these are solid ends. This is an X-Acto knife with the blade on there. And what I did is I put this blade up to my window, and I'm going to take my wire and bend it up. I'm doing this with one hand, and I'm filming with the other, so bear with me. You see what I did is I created a little avenue, consistent, because over here on this side, on the opposite end, is the same thing. And what I did is I cut my end off, or actually I started bending it around with just with these pliers. Just with these pliers, with my grozers. You're able to do that, to just bend the wire around and mimic the solder line right below it, so that as I solder it into this, below it, let's just do it. Let's see if I can do this again with one hand. I know you're going, Jesus, guy's a whiner. Let's see. Try to set up a prop so that, okay. I think we've got her, by George. I think we've got her. Okay, this is where I want to be. Right. Okay. So I'm going to flux my thing, and then I'm going to take my wire cutters and just hold it down. Because it's already tinned, it's going to be really easy to just hold this in place and tack it. There, I hear it. And what I want to do is heat this up and then press it down into the solder line below. You'll see. Actually, by holding this down, I'm working in a cold garage right now that's only about 20 degrees, so my iron is somewhat fighting me. And you got to be careful if you're going to solder on a cold day like what I'm doing. And I'm not soldering up a window because I would break it. Here we go. It's finally starting to cooperate. There we go. Jeez, this is going to look more difficult than it really is on your side. Okay. You don't want to solder a window out here in this cold temperature. When you got a soldering iron tip that's this hot in glass that's 20-some degrees, you can break a glass left and right. I'm just doing this technical area, and I'm pretty confident with what I know how to do. So I'm taking that little dude out. I'm also going to take a pair of pliers and squeeze this together. Creates a nice, strong, tight bond. And what I want is this area right here, right at the very end, to be married to my lead. Let it set in there, 1001, 1002. That way it kind of pools and soaks in underneath. Gives it a good strong bond. Down here in this end, I'd like to see that I'm holding my pliers down so it doesn't pop up, because a lot of times it wants to release. Now when you look at my solder line after it's been fluxed, it's hard to tell where my support, how far it came in. In other words, you can't see. It's just a wire that seems to go right into it. So let's take my camera and look at the other side. On the other side, we still got our wire. And need to bend it so that it lines up right in line. And also, I'm going to take my pliers and squeeze that down. I want that looking pretty flat. Well, not flat, but I don't want it puffy. I want that nice and consistent. Okay, so I'm going to come up a ways with my side cutters, and I'm going to snip this. There you go. So now we're going to solder this one down. It's already been it's not been tinned. All I got to do is flux it, put some solder on it and tin it, and then press it in. And I can press that down because you don't want to use your fingers, duh. You want to use your pliers with one hand, not with a video camera with the other. And press down and press it into this. But when you solder this, make sure that your end doesn't flip up. That's why I'm pressing it down here with the pliers. There. So now it's laying nice and flat against that. In fact, you can see it from the angle. There you go. It's laying flat. So what I want it to do is I want these two lines to marry together, and then I want to build up this area right here. You want to pile up enough solder so that it comes, once this is pressed down, of course it won't be so high, that the solder from the end of here will blend right into there. So you want to build it right here at this end once you've got it married into there. And then that way people aren't going to be able to tell where how your solder line came right up and over. It just seems to blend right in. See how that just blends right in, over and onto the other side. And this will hold up really well, really well. I would have 100% confidence that this panel would never fall because of this. It's so rigid. This stuff's hanger wire. I've straightened it out, of course, but you ain't going anywhere with that stuff soldered to your frame. Now, two things. Remember, we have lead nippers, and they never get used for cutting wire. This would hurt these and destroy them in a minute. And generally, a good set of lead nippers is anywhere around $10 to more, in fact. These are side cutters. Wire cutters, that everybody knows them as, are side cutters. This is what you use. These guys grab there and there's jaws, and they work really well, and they can cut this stuff lickety-split. So don't be confused. They look a lot alike. This one you dedicate towards your lead. This one you use for utilitarian purposes. Very important. Otherwise, you pay $8-10 or more for these guys, and they're going to get ruined on you. So you want to stash them away in an area where nobody else is going to use them. If somebody's used to coming up to your bench and kind of taking your stuff away, carting it off, you know how that goes, where other people are using it and not bringing it back. So you definitely don't want your lead nippers used for cutting wire. So okay, the next step is I'm going to be cleaning this window up, and this has got flux on it. I only use paste flux. I only use Canfield copper mate flux. It is the creme de creme. Doesn't spit or anything. In fact, no point of this video did it spit. So I got a pretty cool window approaching down to the end of my 10-minute. This is called Order Out of Chaos. It's part of my spiritual series. It's an abstract featuring dichroic aspects, elements. Look at that reptile. Bevel right there. Reptile. You fusers know what reptile is, but this is a bevel. You see the beveled edges? I do my own ultraviolet lamination for these dichroic bevels, and you're going to want some. So the bevels are soon to be coming out. Here's a tray of them. I gotta go, or I'm not going to get my 10 minutes. Thanks. Bye-bye.